help is when I'm ocean waves.
Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Mary Washington soccer coach Jason Kilby back with us again. Coach Kilby and his Eagles are #1 in the nation, first time in school history. Last year, he went to the Final Four for, I believe, only the second time in school history. 97 was the first. Coach, congratulations. Thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Well, you know, when I was at UVA, I was a law student at UVA. We were #1 in the nation in football. I'll never forget that moment because back then you didn't really know until the USA Today came out. I think it was on a Tuesday. So I walked by a newsstand and I picked up the paper. And we were #1 in the nation. I wasn't even on the team. I was just a student there, but it was an amazing feeling. Describe the feeling when you find out you're #1. I mean, obviously you got bigger goals for the year, but describe that feeling.
I was just proud of proud and happy for our players, the work they put in over the years to kind of get to this level. And we just have to keep focused and focus on the things that we do well. And again, it is an honor. And again, I'm just happy for them.
Yeah. Do you find it distracted at all? Does it make you redouble your efforts to make sure, hey, we're #1. This is a snapshot. We have Messiah this week. Is it easy to keep the kids motivated?
I think we just we briefly talked about it. It comes with a lot of responsibility, and we just have to, again, focus on the things that we do well and be committed on and off the field to each other and the values that we hold within the team. So it's like you said, it's exciting, but more importantly, just one game at a time. And again, just take care of our bodies, take care of ourselves on and off the field. Academic component, very, very important, the most important. And so really nothing changes.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a quick bio again. Obviously, you were just on last year, but this is your 13th season coaching. I believe the 7th season at Mary Washington. Is that true, Coach?
So no, I think this is my 13th year at Mary Washington.
Oh, Mary Washington. Okay. So I got that.
And then I was previously at North Carolina Wesleyan for about 10 years.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Coach. And I know you got 250 plus wins in those years. I know you played at Frostburg and coached there as well.
Yes, sir.
Last year, the team that you had, and we might as well pick it up where we left off last year. We talked right before the tournament started. You just won the Coast to Coast conference tournament to get the bid, and you guys went on a roll. Got to the Final Four. I believe lost some penalties to Williams College, but I know you lost to Williams. I'm not sure.
It was 1-0. We lost 1-0 to Williams. Great battle. They have a very good team, and it was an unbelievable experience for our players, and I was really happy for them.
Yeah. Now, I would think that experience, a tournament run like that, and winning the conference tournament, probably has served you pretty well this season. I bet you that's something that your players, you've been able to build off of with your players.
Yeah, we talked a lot about not becoming complacent. We talked a lot about that everyone will bring their best game against us. So we have to, again, not be complacent, take care of our work, long before we get here, right? Long before we get on the field here at the university. And we just the same values that we try to instill in our players and about holding each other accountable. And I think the best part about our program now is just the ownership within the group. It's really nice to see where peer-to-peer guys, or upperclassmen are teaching and mentoring the younger players about how to represent themselves, their family, our university, and soccer program in a first-class manner on and off the field, and training habits and those things that are extremely important if you're going to build a good culture within a program. Our standards, right? High standards, keep it high.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about your team this year as compared to last year. Now, last year, I know you had two really good players that graduated, Abel Lewis, an attacking player, and Jacob Kautzman, who was more of a defender. Those guys were key misses, but you have a lot of players coming back, including your two leading scorers, I believe, last year and this year, but at least this year, Carter Berg, who's from here in South Lakes, and Josh Kirkland, who I believe is from Richmond. So tell us a little bit about your team this year.
I think we are, we graduated some really great leaders from last year, like you named. Also got Sony Abil, who was fantastic, also in the middle for us. And I think we're maybe a little more seasoned, have some more experience, and still are extremely driven to compete again, and to get back to the Final Four. That's our goal. First and foremost is to win the conference championship again, right? To have our opportunity to get back to the NCAA tournament, and then take one game at a time. But yeah, definitely some seasoned players, which is extremely helpful.
Yeah. Well, I did notice that you brought a goalie from a school where you coached, Freddie Rogers. I believe he's from England, and he's an experienced goalie. I think he started 2 years or at least 1 year. So tell us about Freddie and what he's meant, because I know you had an all-conference goalie last year.
Yeah, so we've been fortunate the last several years to have really good goalkeepers. And Freddie just kind of came on the transfer portal, and one thing led to another. I knew that my former assistant actually was the former head coach at North Carolina Wesleyan, knew of Freddie, and it was important, and kind of told me about him. And Freddie had a great experience and did really well at North Carolina Wesleyan. I think he was their captain and an all-conference performer. So he just wanted maybe a little bit different challenge. We were fortunate to have Freddie join our group, and he's been pretty consistent, good teammate first and foremost, hardworking, and he's fit in well with us. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of your new players. And one theme I've seen with Mary Washington over the years, you seem to get a lot of brothers. You get kids, and then you get the brother. Well, I recognize some of these names because my son played against all of them in Northern Virginia. Elliot Berg was a center back at South Lakes when his brother was playing striker for South Lakes, and Yorktown and South Lakes is just an amazing rivalry up here. But Fernando Reyes, I know he's in the DC United Academy. This is a really good player. I know Joseph Cruz, another really solid player. And then a guy that I got to watch a lot last spring, because they made a tournament run and got to the state tournament, is Marvin Cabrera. I believe he's an SYC player for club. Another really nice midfielder. So tell us a little bit about your newcomers.
Yeah, so we have a really good crop of new players. I think there's 6 freshmen. You just mentioned Elliot Berg, and that played with Herndon, and the 3 Fernando and Marvin and Joseph were MLS Next guys with SYC. I think they also were DC United, maybe 2 of them for some period of time as youth players also. You also have Alex Keaton as a striker we brought in from Skyline off that ECNL group. And Jack Sturman was starting center midfielder for Loudon, the ECNL. He's done really well too. So a really good group of first-year guys. And like you said, we brought in Freddie as a transfer, and then this spring Nathan Masick was a Division I transfer from the Mount. Originally, I think he was with the Baltimore Celtic. He's done well for us in the lineup. And 2 other guys we brought in the spring as well. One ODU transfer that was a Richmond United ECNL player also. Just went blank on his name. Joel Albritton, excuse me. Mm-hmm. Sure. And who else? Blake Hoskins, also a Frostburg transfer, who was a Pipeline, Celtic, Armor youth player. These guys bounce all around. So we've had a really good group. The freshmen, I think, are really strong. We haven't had to use them much. I think they played in maybe 3 games, but we're fortunate where we're really deep in with the experience. So it's kind of this first year for them will be a learning curve for them, understanding the roles, understanding the tactical stuff that we have. And I think they will definitely develop and really help us in the near future.
Yeah. Well, Coach, some of these are really big names. It's an extremely strong class. It's a tribute to you and your job you've done, your coaching staff, and of course the program. But is this also a function of it's still hard for kids to get Division I scholarships? I know when the Washington Post All Met team came out last year, I was shocked by I think there may have been 2 or 3 Division I remember the kid from Cooper Noseworthy, the kid going to JMU.
Yeah.
Matthew Leonard is going to college at Charleston. I think there's 1 or 2 more, and that was it. Is it a function of there's still a log jam at the Division I level with the portal and the COVID year? Is that so, or is it a function of the overseas kids that are still coming and taking those spots, or is it your program too? Is it a combination of all 3 of those things?
I think it is a combination of a lot of that. So you've got the international market. I feel like those little agencies are popping up everywhere. You know, I used to recruit internationally in my previous school, so I know a little bit about it. Traveled to 18 different countries then before all these little agencies started popping up. And now even Iceland, I feel like when I used to recruit there before agencies even existed, recruiting agencies, I feel like there's 2, 3, maybe 4 there now, and every country has several. So, you know, they're pushing those players here. And I'm finding a lot of Division I programs that maybe typically in the past were not picking those players up are now picking them up. And maybe it's pushing, you know, we have a lot of quality players in the United States. So it's difficult for players, like you said, our domestic US players here to find a good home. And then you add the COVID into the deal, because this for us, so for next year, we have potentially 6 or 7 players that could come back for a 5th year next fall. They haven't made a decision yet. So yeah, it's extremely challenging, right? From the standpoint of trying to manage a roster when you have all those different factors to weigh in. And I feel extremely sad for a lot of youth players who are really, really good players, just again trying to find the right home academically, athletically, socially, local, you know, location wise and financially. It's a struggle, can be a really struggle.
Yeah,
And it helped us though. I do feel like we've gotten some really quality players who could play, you know, Division I level, and they find that, hey, they want to come to Mary Wash because of the education, the reputation, and the ability to compete at a very high level, and maybe not wait for 2, 3 years sitting behind some other players.
Yeah. Well, I know you played a really tough game against UVA last year, I believe.
3 years ago, yeah.
Was it? But I believe you almost got as many shots on the goal, and they did. It was the score was maybe 2 or 3 to 1.
It was 2-0. It was 2-0.
It was 2-0. But I felt like you guys were dangerous in that game. Has the gap narrowed between Division III and Division I schools? I know Washington Lee's had some success against Division I schools as well.
That game in particular, I think, you know, they played maybe 5 or 6 of their starters. If I was looking in particular at that game, you know, we competed very well. We were very young. Yeah, I do think the top level Division III programs are at a could compete consistently at a mid to low level Division I level.
Oh, that's right. That's awesome.
I think I think there's levels within levels, right? There's, you know, at the Division I level, there's some really top notch programs, and then like at every level, you know, every division, there's some levels there. So we feel like, you know, we played George Washington in preseason. We lost in our second day of preseason, we lost 1-0 here. It's a very competitive game. We cleared all the, you know, played everyone. And it's very competitive. We played other teams, and it's good. I think I think our guys can compete at that level, and it gives them some confidence. And yeah, I do think there's a lot of parity within the lower, you know, mid to low level Division I and the high level Division III. And you can look at Division II also. Those top level teams there, they can compete. My opinion is with basically any of the Division I teams, because they have a lot of international players and maybe some older, more mature players potentially also at that level. So I think it's more, you got to focus on the program first and foremost, not necessarily the division.
Yeah. Well, Coach, when you have such a great team last year, and you have most of your kids back, and you had some real talent, um, do you really have to really strive to keep the culture and the chemistry the same, or do you let teams kind of evolve? I mean, you had great success last year, but of course you're going to add some new personalities to the mix. Do you let that kind of evolve yourself, or do you try to kind of rebuild really what you had last year because it was so effective?
Well, I think that takes me back to my point with the leadership, ownership within the team. So when you have great leadership and there's buy-in from the upperclassmen, they can help myself and our staff manage some of the expectations of the newer players. You know, it's a challenge. It is definitely a challenge because, like you said, we have a good freshman, good group that came in. You know, these are, again, top level players, starters off of, MLS or ECNL, some of the highest, better, top leagues in the country, teams also. And so I get it. Part of the deal is we send a message out also. I email the parents and the players, the expectations from the start. Hey, we're one of the better programs in the country. And again, you have to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. And so it's just, when we can name some players here, perfect example is Griffin Hemmendinger, did not play for 3 years and had one of the best seasons of his career. Then went on, our goalkeeper from last year was fantastic, right? Sat behind for 2-3 years, a starter. And then he went on to the NPSL this summer with Annapolis Blues, started there and was the NPSL Golden Glove winner for the whole NPSL league.
That's amazing.
And he's trying to get a contract now at the next level. So again, it's challenging, right? It's challenging to be focused and understand your role and add value other ways than playing, right? There's other ways to add some value to a program besides playing minutes on the field. So yeah, we definitely have to keep on top of that and manage expectations and manage personalities and egos. But we do have a really good group. And I think at our university, we have some really wholesome kids who are blue collar mentality, who are good people first and foremost, who come from fantastic families. And that helps us. We talk to the parents too. Hey, the voices they hear, right? The voices, it's gonna be very challenging. A new environment, maybe the first time away from home for a long period of time. The school is challenging academically. The travel component, as you know that we play an extremely competitive schedule, one of the top schedules in the country every year. We want to prepare our players for the postseason play. So factor that in, and being on your own, managing your nutrition, managing your sleep, managing the class level, the work. It's a challenge. So again, trying to help them understand that. And I'm sure yourself, when you went to college, I was in college, it's a challenge in the first year. I think the first year could be the most difficult, and they need parental guidance, coaching guidance, mentoring from our players, returning players, and ourselves to help manage all that so they can be successful in the classroom, first and foremost, on the field. So
yeah,
it doesn't stop.
Yeah. Well, except for when I went to college, I didn't have a sport that play in that fall in a compressed season. At least if you're playing a spring sport, you have a little bit of time to be a student and get adjusted. But these kids are getting thrown in academically and athletically, which is, it's just a great job on your part to be able to. You're 6-0, a goal differential, 20 goals for, 2 against. Just incredible performance. I don't know all the teams that you play, but I know you beat John Hopkins, and I know they're good because I followed them last year. And you beat Emory. They have a midfielder that played with a lot of your kids and my son, Josh Grand, for many years. I'm sure you've seen him play before. Right. But Emory had tied Washington Lee, and they had beaten Catholic. So your undefeated record was not built on an easy schedule.
Yeah, we've played some good opponents. I think we've played Hobart, RPI, Hopkins, who else? Lycoming, who was strong. And him and Sydney, who at the time last week was ranked 5th in the region, and Emory was ranked 25th in the country. So like I said, and then Masai, obviously, is going to be an extremely good challenge for us. So we want to present these challenges for our players again, so we can prepare ourselves for the conference play and also for hopefully postseason.
Yeah. Well, the last weekend, the games were almost like a 2-game festival in Richmond. And I see a lot of these at Division III. You play 2-game sets somewhere. What is the background of those? And it seems like a great opportunity to see a lot of players, and the kids can get some exposure.
Yeah. So Hampden City set it up with Rob Ucrop at the Kicker Stadium, and Rob's son actually plays for us here at Mary Washington's on our team. So it was a nice venue. We have a lot of players from the Richmond area, relatively close to home, an hour drive, fantastic venue. The pitch is really nice. And so Tommy was nice enough at Hampden City to set it up. He's actually a Mary Wash alum, really good guy. And he set up with some great teams. And hopefully we'll be able to do that again next fall.
Yeah. Well, what about Messiah? Now, I know they're known to have a great environment up there. They take soccer very seriously. I believe, like Mary Washington, they don't have football, but I think they've won girls and boys. I'm not sure how many NCAA championships, but maybe even double figures.
Numerous times.
Yeah, just an amazing program.
Yeah.
So, what's that environment going to be like, and what's the challenge that Messiah brings?
Yeah, I think the environment's going to be probably similar to like our homecoming. Wouldn't surprise me. There's 2,000-3,000 fans there, which is a great environment for anyone to play in front of. So for us, we'll be just, hey, we welcome that challenge. We've put ourselves in this position, prepare for it, and we're very excited about it. I know, again, they have a lot of success. They've had a lot of success, and very organized, very smart play, move the ball well, tough, and they're fantastic program. I mean, I know they are also like us. They challenge, and I've heard they beat many Division I programs, in the non-traditional season and maybe preseason matches. So it's it's another fantastic opportunity for us, and we welcome the challenge.
Yeah. Well, Coach, look, this has been great. I took more of your time than you promised me. I know you're really busy, but look, I appreciate it. You're number one in the nation. This is an honor for me to talk to you again and to hear about your team. I'm a big Eagles fan, so I'll definitely. Hopefully, there'll be a live stream. Is there a live stream?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I will make sure I publish the live stream on all the social media, like I tried to last year in the NCAA's as well. But well, Coach, this has been great. Hopefully, you guys have a continued success this season, and hopefully, I can talk to you again before the end of the season.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you having me on, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too, Coach.
Yes,
Enjoy
sir.
it now.
Take care. Bye-bye.